5:30. Ooh, 5:31.
Wow, it's quiet. Having the appointed time at 5:30 arrived, I'd like to call Tuesday, August 10th, 2021, Committee of the Whole to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Mr. Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Will do. Alderman Redpath.
Here.
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderman Fulgenzi.
Here.
Alderman Proctor.
Here.
Alderwoman DeCenso.
Present.
Alderman McMiniman.
Here.
Alderwoman Connolly.
Present.
Alderman Donilon.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, a quorum is present.
Great, thank you. I'd accept a motion for approval of the July 27th, 2021 committee meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Treasurer, would you please present your Treasury Report?
Thank you, Chair Proctor. The corporate fund in the month of July had a beginning balance of $38,670,852. We took in total receipts of $11,843,529. We had total disbursements in the month of July of $8,489,324, which left the corporate fund with a total ending balance of $42,025,057. Chair Proctor, that total includes the ARPA money, which is currently sitting at $16,902,006.50. That concludes my report.
Great, thank you. Any questions for the Treasurer? Seeing none, thank you. Is there an OBM contract report? Any questions?
No, she's, Amanda Long's on vacation. She tried to do it from the hotel, but she said she wouldn't get it, so she'd have it for the next week.
Okay, fair enough. All right, no presentation,
No
Director?
presentation, Chair.
Very good. All right, next we have ordinances tabled and remaining committee. Mr. Clerk, will you please read those ordinances?
Will do. 2021-239, 2021-254, 2021-255, 2021-289, 2021-306.
So take a motion to remove any. Yes, Alderman Connolly.
Yeah, I move that we pull 2021-306 out for discussion.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to pull 2021-306 out for what?
Discussion right now, yeah.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we'll go ahead and do that one first.
Start with them.
Yeah.
2021-306, an ordinance authorizing a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $1,200,903.18 to provide funds to assist in Salvation Army in operating a safety net shelter for the next 24 months with a grant agreement for 50%, a CDBG subrecipient agreement for 50% of the requested appropriation for the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
Alderwoman Connolly?
Thank you, Chair. I see that we have the continuum of care here. I would ask that Josh Sabo come up and explain the proposal that we were sent and the continuum's recommendations.
That'd be great. Mr. Sabo, would like to come up and discuss your proposal, please?
Sure. Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. And we sent the proposal yesterday, and we won't go through it in great detail, but I'd love to hit some bullet points if that's okay. And here with us tonight are several members of the Continuum Board and members of Salvation Army who've been a part of the collaborative process to develop that proposal. So we're grateful for everybody's help in that, and also Mayor Langfelder grateful for the discussion we were able to have around it as well. As we come, and as the original ordinance suggests, we obviously have a gap in our community around emergency shelter bed needs. And so the initial proposal was for emergency shelter. And as we've had further discussion about how to meet that need in a sustainable way, but also in a way that could make some funding available for more of a solution to end homelessness, that's what helped us develop the proposal that we sent to you yesterday. To meet the need to address the shelter need in our community, Salvation Army has agreed to help address that gap for us for the next 12 months by providing overflow shelter, case management, and day services in coordination with other services available in our community. Over the course of those 12 months, this issue is going to be a special area of focus for our community-wide strategic plan, which has already started. And so in the next 6 months, we plan to have guidance around how this need might be met in a more sustainable way that we hope to use to develop a plan that could be implemented before those 12 months are up. So the goal is to be able to come up with a sustainable solution over the course of these 12 months that helps us to avoid the uncertainty of having these conversations on a year-over-year basis, but more importantly, that helps us move closer to functionally ending homelessness. The budget, as well as an explanation for how that overflow shelter would work, was included in that proposal. And we're asking for the original ordinance to be amended to a 12-month period of time and to spend up to amount not exceeding $403,000. The proposal also included a number of different pieces of information. We wanted to provide you a little bit of context and the fact that a lot of community partners, a lot of our agencies are already working in a number of ways toward that goal of functionally ending homelessness. The community-wide strategic plan that the city, the county, our medical community has helped to fund has already begun. Homebase and Latham Harris have already begun their work of analyzing data, started to plan on interviews, and the steering committee for that will be assembled soon. As is detailed in that document, Helping Hands is leading an initiative called Housing for Health. That will be a multi-agency collaborative effort that's really focused on addressing homelessness and improving community health. Through the American Rescue Plan, our community received 35 emergency housing vouchers, and those vouchers have allowed for a partnership between the Continuum and the Housing Authority that will use our coordinated entry list to help people from the coordinated entry list into using those housing vouchers. And so through that, we're going to be able to create a move-on program. One of the things that you'll see as a thread throughout that document is that we have an inadequate supply of supportive housing programs. And so what happens when that's the case is we end up with a stuck system. We interact with people in emergency shelter, we interact with people in street outreach, but ultimately we have no permanent housing placement to be able to help those people into, or not no, but an inadequate number. And so those vouchers are helping us to create a move-on program where we can take people who are currently in permanent supportive housing, but who no longer need that intensive case management, and help them to enter into more mainstream services. In addition to that, and connected to that, we've been able to hire a housing navigator. This person will be able to work with landlords, to be able to engage landlords about units that are available and help to expand the number of units that are available to Continuum services. And that person will begin at the end of the month. Our housing outreach team is developing an app that we're going to be able to use to connect with unsheltered people and more easily collaborate as we work to connect people with services. And then also partners in regards to homelessness prevention and diversion. Community partners have been able to invest over $6 million in helping people who are experiencing housing instability. In addition to that, several agencies have already committed to expanding rapid rehousing and permanent supportive housing, while many more are figuring out how their agencies can help with that as well. And in addition to that, the Memorial Behavioral Health is going to be hiring an outreach worker through the CDBG CV funds with support that came from the city that will hire a person who's fully devoted to some of these outreach efforts as well. So that's a snapshot in addition to a lot of the programs that our agencies already offer. There's a lot of momentum moving in the right direction. And so that's why we feel like this is an important time to come forward with this proposal and this process that we hope will not just meet the immediate need, but really put the focus on helping to create more supportive housing so that we can end homelessness together. As part of that, too, the document also included some suggestions, not actionable as part of this ordinance, but hoping that as we move forward, the city and the Continuum can partner on a number of these issues in order to help move forward. One of those are the home ARP funds that the city will get for almost $2.4 million. Those will come to the city through the home grant program, but it's a brand new program that takes some elements of the home grant and combines them with some elements of the COC grant so that supportive services are available, rental assistance, as well as the opportunity to develop more units for housing. We would ask that the continuum in the city spend a lot of time working together to figure out how to best use those funds and use the guidance that we're going to get through the strategic planning process that we've started. We'd also like to ask the city to commit to looking at how to use $1 million from the CDBG and home grants to specifically focus on units for rapid rehousing and permanent supportive housing. In addition to that, we'd like the city to consider helping us develop a landlord mitigation fund for $50,000. As this housing navigator gets working, as we work to lease up these 35 emergency housing vouchers, a fund like that would really help us develop relationships with landlords, but also make a safer way for landlords to begin to explore partnering with our organizations as well. In addition to that, we're asking for support developing capacity in organizations for supportive housing programs. As we've talked about on many occasions, in order to create these programs, organizations need to hire case managers. And so we're asking for support for $500,000 over the course of 2 years that would allow organizations to begin to expand specifically for the purpose of having more rapid rehousing and permanent supportive housing programs. Again, we don't expect you to take action on that tonight, but we believe all of this is part of the full picture of how we can not just provide overnight shelter in the cold months, but to create some stability from there that we can also move on to addressing the real housing need that we have as a community.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Alderman Conway?
Thank you, Chair. Josh, can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you for your leadership on this. Thank the entire continuum. It's great to see you all coming out tonight in support of this ordinance and support of this plan that you've developed together. I just kind of going through it, some of the things that jumped out at me that I know have been concerns and questions in the past. Sure. The intake process. It's really encouraging to see that there's a coordination among different agencies for the intake process for this. Thank you all for that. I do have some questions, mainly around the services that are going to be offered, because this does have a day component along with the overnight shelter. So can you, or maybe Salvation Army, elaborate on what the services will be?
Sure.
And then also just kind of what sort of outreach and education are we going to be doing to the entire community, because we do have other ordinances on the agenda tonight that deal with some of the other concerns that we have around homelessness. Obviously, even having a day center doesn't mean that people stay inside all day. Right. We still have concerns. I hear from people about panhandling, and we have concerns from people with downtown businesses. So just how we're going to provide education to our community and around what these services are, because this is, again, I applaud you all. This is a really good beginning for us. And I'm excited to be a part of this beginning. And I'm certainly looking through some of the additional asks that you have. I think they're reasonable and that, part of a really good plan that's going to make a huge change in our community.
On day services, I'll start, and then Captain, you correct me if I'm wrong, but as part of that, I think the goal at one level is light touch case management, so that if people need identification or access to services, if people need to get on coordinated entry, that will be a focus. But there'll be also, I think, an opportunity for further case management for some populations as well through that. And then the goal would be to partner with other organizations during those hours as well. Last year, 5th Street Renaissance had workers come to the Winter Emergency Shelter and offer some of their programs as part of that. Memorial Behavioral Health, with the partnership through the CDBG CV position, can be a part of that. So the goal will be to use that time and have other services connect and be present as well. In regards to community education, I think one of the things that the continuum needs to do and will continue to do is to communicate what's available and make sure that the community knows about the work that agencies are doing and encourage the community to further support the agencies.
Thank you. Yeah, because you all are doing a lot of work that's critical to our community, and having this as an organized, focused approach I think is going to make a huge difference. I just want to say I appreciate that it's only a 12-month plan, so we're not locked into, and I know you said that very specifically in here, not locked into a single location for this service. So I do hope part of this education and outreach is going to be working with, and I believe Erica Smith mentioned the faith community, to help find a location that comes with community input and support so that we come to something that is really long-term sustainable and welcomed where it is.
Yeah, and Erica spoke about that as well. There's a lot of different models that communities use that are workable for agencies. It's something that our community has said for quite a while, that this current seasonal overflow model is a challenge, and this council wrestles with that year over year as well because of that. So we certainly, as a part of that process, will be open to what models come to us. And then I think at that point, once we get some consensus around a sustainable model, we'll begin that process around engaging the community and the city and other partners and figuring out what a location could look like.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I think just having the stability in August of knowing what's going to happen is going to hopefully give everyone some breathing room to get ready for that conversation. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it very much what you've done.
Thank you.
Alderman Donlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Sabo, I want to thank you, you and the Continuum, for all of your hard work. You reminded us last time you were up before the council and speaking that this is something you've all been working on for a great number of months, if not years. And let's face it, the work that you do is not always glamorous, but it is absolutely, I know because I've spoken to a number of you, in your hearts, and it is appreciated because you're the experts. And coming to this body with an actual plan is very much appreciated because that's not always the way it's done. A lot of times individuals or groups come and they don't like an ordinance or an idea that's been put forward, and that's about all they say and don't come forward with a solution. I'm happy to hear, a path. I'm happy to hear that you've met with all the entities involved, met with the mayor's office and had conversations. I'm not going to regurgitate what's in the report, but I will tell you some of the things that I really liked is the fact that one of the goals is not to be wondering annually, year to year, where are we going to be, where are we going to be headed. We're actually trying to get there's I'll say a short-term component of this, and there's obviously long-term that do bring in, and some of the things that my colleagues in this chamber have brought forward, pointed out. There are mental health components, and there are housing components. There are many others that they all seem to have been a consideration of what you're proposing. So thank you for the work, and I appreciate you being here tonight to answer questions.
Thank you.
Alderman Redpath.
Mr. Sagbel, thank you for coming, and congratulations to all of you for putting together this proposal. It makes a lot of sense. It's something that we can help take people off the street and put them in good housing. I particularly like the intake process that you're going to put forward, how you're going to evaluate and put people in certain places for care at night. But as we all know, and Alderman Donlin referred to it, there is a capacity of people out there who are going to refuse this and are going to be out there. How do we deal with that? How do we get them to come into the fold?
Yeah, I think the key is that housing outreach team that we've talked about. So really, that MBH worker will be a part of that. But we have our Officer Jones as a part of that team as well. So we have people who are out there always helping the homeless in Springfield that are always out there working and building relationships with people. And that's going to be the key, I think, being able to know people, to know what their situation is, to be able to build that level of trust so that we can at least let them know what's available to them and hopefully help to guide them in the degree that they're looking and willing to access services. But a key part of this is we can't force anybody to enter, as you know, any of these shelters, but we certainly want to make sure that we've got a safe space available for everybody, and we really believe this can make that possible. But that other team is a key part to addressing. That's a very real dynamic, and that housing outreach team is going to be a crucial part of continuing to engage people in relationship. And
there's a lot of people out there that are looking at this and thinking that this could be a solution that we've been looking for several years. So. Again, I can't thank you all enough for putting together the time and effort to make this happen. And I'm glad that you were able to meet with the administration. Hopefully, we can put that together. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Alderman McMiniman.
Yeah, related to the uncooperative individuals situation, where you've got individuals prone on the sidewalk, blocking traffic downtown, passed out. I hope that your plan addresses that situation. It's both a law enforcement problem and a social services problem. And what do we do with those individuals when, I think we've got an ordinance tonight which says we can issue them a citation. but do we have the authority to physically remove them from an inappropriate location?
Right.
Creating safety for hazards for pedestrians and a threat to some individuals in that condition. So I just would like to know, where do we take those individuals? Not tonight, you don't have to answer the question tonight, but we want to plan for that because our downtown is suffering, business locations are suffering, and it's been particularly a problem at the marijuana dispensary. And we had a lot of conversation about that in the last 2 weeks, about the impact of people just laying on the ground a block from our hotels. We want to plan for that, a legal plan, and who's responsible for removing that person when they say, sorry, I just want to stay here. I don't want to move. I'm on the ground and I don't want to move.
Right. And our role in that is to make the social services available, to make sure that there's an option for people. The legal component of that obviously is not ours, but in order to make sure that care is available to folks, that's what we aim to do. But beyond that, a lot of that's outside of our scope.
Well, there's got to be coordination. Mm-hmm. The police need to know where they take that person.
Absolutely.
So that's where we need the coordination. It's critically important. Yeah, thanks a lot for all the hard work you're doing and all the back and forth that's taking place.
Alderman Gregory.
Thank you, Alderman. Mr. Chair, I just want to make it clear I've always been a very vocal supporter about this situation, so I hold various passions for it. But I just have a few quick questions because I do want to support it. But it has to be. I have some questions that I just need to address. So. And these are very short, really yes or no questions to help me greater understand some things. So, have you, has the Continuum had any conversations with any neighborhood associations on the east side of the tracks? We're planning on having this. Have we had any conversations with them?
Regarding the overflow shelter, we've not.
Is there any reason why?
I think in part because that's where people are, and that's where the conversation was around the building. But that would be the only reason at this point. And I'd say the other component is that this is a temporary solution. It's not a long-term solution, and so the goal, if anything, was to be more permanent. Obviously, would be able to have an intentional community process around what happens from there.
Okay, thank you. Can you explain to me a little bit why this is not a 24/7 situation? I just have a little issue with the intake. I question myself if we have, in the notes, I know one of the entities won't breathalyze the homeless anymore. Maybe that will help some of them get in there. So with this entity, if we're going to put them out at 7:30 a.m. every morning like we do at one of our local places now, how is that helping them? I mean, I know we have other services available, some day centers and things of that nature, but the problem that we're struggling with right now to try to figure out is a situation for our street homeless, the people who don't fit this perfect criteria to get them step to the next track. That is what I see when I'm out there hanging and barbecuing and all of those things. That's what I see. I see some individuals that and then the people at Helping Hands come over and they're just in such better shape. So I just don't know how this population, if we have beds available, similar to the Alderman Redpath's question, is going to go to there. So if they refuse, what do we do then? I mean, are they just going to still camp outside the facility?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the encampment, again, I think that's a little bit outside of our scope. The reality is, we offer shelter beds as a community. We need to offer adequate low-barrier shelter beds. This overflow shelter will match the low barriers of Helping Hands. So the goal is to really make that, to the degree that it can be a seamless operation. So it'll involve a great deal of collaboration between the existing shelters. It's going to need to involve really intentional training about staff and close collaboration about how to handle situations as they arise as well. But in terms of, as a community, it's great to be able to offer some client choice to the degree that we can. But as a community, too, we need to be able to use the available shelter beds we have so that we can really put that focus on housing. And in terms of meeting the criteria, right, I mean, our approach is housing first, meaning so that if a person is alive, they're worthy of being housed on the basis of being a human. And so they meet the criteria. The issue is being able to develop as a community the system, the resources, and the ability to connect people with that housing as quickly as possible.
I agree with that, but there is some situations where we would where we would be fooling ourselves if we think that we can put some individuals in just a home by themselves, or I know there's some supportive housing situations. But that's the part that troubles me. I mean, I'm not comfortable investing all this money into a situation, and we're still going to look at, have this issue, and that's the part that troubles me is that, I feel like we're going down the same cycle that this is fine. We're going to let them in at night. We're going to put them out at 7:30 in the morning. We're about to consider 3 ordinances to ticket homeless people. I mean, maybe it's me. So what I was looking for, and what I was willing to really explain to the community that has to deal with this building is that we needed some time to get to a permanent situation. To do that on a 24/7, especially with this COVID and Delta variant. The CDC tweeted that it's not the smartest idea to break up these encampments and send them out to the community for various reasons. So I'm struggling with that point of it. So I thank you for that dialogue on that.
Alderman,
sure.
There's one for your question I didn't answer, if that's right, too. So it just regards to 24/7. It's virtually impossible for a 24/7 shelter to function as an overflow shelter, because people, in terms of leaving and coming back, it just, in terms of the way the system works, that would be one barrier there. And the other part is just from client interaction. In terms of 24/7 shelter, it doesn't mean that if we offer services 24/7 in one location, that individuals are going to stay in that location, and we certainly would have no intentions of assuming we don't end up with a more dire COVID outbreak, and forcing people to stay in a location. So, the reality that people are free to kind of go as they choose to is one of the dynamics there. And then in terms of just the sustainability of 24/7, that's a very difficult operation to run. And so for us to be able to partner across the continuum with other agencies and, again, continue to foster that collaboration, that's the reason that we did that. And then in the proposal, it's an average of 6 hours a day of day services. So that allows some flexibility to have more hours on the weekend when other services are closed, more hours when the weather is cold or inclement. But on days that are really nice and people want to be outside, it could be that the hours could fluctuate along that. But that's the reasoning for that being the way it is in the proposal.
All right, thank you.
Alderman Williams?
Yeah, thank you for coming. I appreciate, the attempt. I looked at the plan and I keep asking myself, so what is different? What is new? But I appreciate the effort, and I truly understand that these are complicated issues, and they're not as simple as they look on the surface. But the first thing I would say is that, the part of town that I represent and that Alderman Gregg represent, we don't have hotels. We have homes. We have neighborhood associations. We have places where people live. Where homeless are, we'll hear around the shoe say in front of hotels, downtown, in front of houses, across the street from schools, across the street from where people live, residences. So it's important to open up that engagement with those people also, not just the downtown area or the hotel owners or businesses, but also residences. If you would please look at that. Number two, I would say we're calling it a 12-month plan. So when will we start seeing results, would you estimate? We start seeing some improvements of what we're seeing now.
Yeah, the key would be however long the hiring process and training process would take. So I think I would leave that question to Salvation Army, but with approval, that process could obviously start quickly, and then it just would be a matter of how quickly staff can be hired.
Okay, and finally, I just don't want to get caught up, and I mean, around the shoe, as we have had these discussions, I've heard everything from we need to close down Tent City, get rid of it. I've heard they need to be arrested. I've heard ticketing, all these different things, but the thing we don't want to do is give the perception that we're doing something about it. We pass these ordinances, and they still see a tent city. They still see people panhandling. They still see people laid out on the sidewalks. They don't see a change, but they saw money get approved. So I've always advocated if they're mentally challenged, then why isn't the money going? A strong component of this has to be dealing with that to find out, do they need to be in an institution? Or should they be even out on the streets? Because if they don't have the capacity to understand, here's a bed for you. I mean, I'm struggling with this because there's a tent city, but then Helping Hand says, well, I got 30 empty beds. Well, you see what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to make sure when we direct funds somewhere, it goes where it's most impacted. It's really going to fix this problem and not just pass something and we just do what we've been doing.
Yeah. Alderman, thank you. In terms of the overflow shelter model, it's not new, something that's been around in our community for almost 2 decades. Mm-hmm. So that part of it is not new, and we do not hold it up as a solution to homelessness in any way, shape, or form. It is a solution in part to part of the current crisis. It creates enough safe beds for people to access as soon as it opens. So that's a positive step. But if we as a community stop there with shelter beds, we've missed the plan on what this proposal is attempting to lead us toward and the work that we'll continue to do. We've got to expand supportive housing, and if we can help people get to a place where they can thrive in supportive housing through rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, and other programs, then people are going to be in different places of their lives and likely different places in our community too. So I think that the real answer is we have to connect people with permanent and supportive housing in order to truly address this issue. In the meantime, as a community, I think the very bare minimum we can offer is a safe bed for people tonight, but we can't stop there. And in regards to the encampment, I think, I don't know to what degree, those conversations have been had. Communities have handled that a number of different ways. When adequate beds are available, I think that creates a space where the community can talk about what to do next. I think from an outreach effort, when we know that this shelter is going to open, we'll begin talking to people, encouraging them to take advantage of the safe beds. But in our community, we typically have a bit of a movement each year. As it gets cold, we see shelter numbers rise. As it gets warm, we see shelter numbers go down. So there's commonly that fluctuation. But we certainly want to encourage people to take advantage of the stability that would come from a safe bed as a starting point, but certainly not as a final answer in terms of those home ARP funds, expanding case management, really building out the housing programs. That's the key. And this strategic plan is going to help us think about all the funding mechanisms in our community that can help us do that. And then we as a community, we have to act on it. We've got to take steps forward, or we will continue to be in the same spot, and people will continue to suffer outside our doors. So you're right. This is not the solution. It's not new. It's what's needed now to handle part of this crisis, but we've got to keep moving forward.
Well, I appreciate you and the team for your efforts. Thank you.
Alderman Hanauer.
Thank you. Real quick, Josh, good job to everyone that was a part of this. The answer to the question of what's different is this: we are not the ones making decisions up here on how the care is given, the staffing, whatever. We've allowed the experts to come forward, develop a plan. You guys know your business better than any of us up here do. And so what we're doing is we're giving, we're putting a lot of faith in you guys that, you're going to take this plan, and I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of, it's going to be fluid at first to try to get, as any plan is. But so we get through this year, and then we move into more of a permanent solution that as we start winding down, and hopefully, I think Erica said, ending homelessness in 5 years. And that's what's different about this plan than other plans that we've had before us. And so for that. I appreciate everyone that's taken part of this, and good job to you all. My question is, okay, what do we do with this? I'm willing to send it to debate with the idea of next week we'll have a formal amendment to match what you guys have put up. As a matter of fact, I'll make that motion if everybody thinks that's pertinent.
I would second that.
Let's go.
Yep.
Okay, I make the motion, we put it to debate, and with the anticipation of having it amended next week on the floor.
Second.
Okay, so we got a motion for an amendment and a second. Any discussion on the amendment?
May I just...
Sure, please.
You brought up the exact correct thing, because what we need is, remember, the subrecipient agreement right now is with Salvation Army. So there's a very detailed plan, safety net plan with a budget. We need to get an updated budget and/or description of the plan so we can make that adjustment. Okay. So I don't know if Salvation Army would prepare it and give it to us, or how that's going to actually occur.
Do you mean in addition to what we sent yesterday?
Yeah, there was no budget. Have you looked at the ordinance? It's got a very detailed budget and also the plan.
Yeah, Appendix A is a budget,
Services.
and right before that is a shelter structure for a plan. But if you need more than that, we'll provide whatever you need. I mean, Salvation Army helped create those pieces.
That's why I'm actually asking Captain Eddy to if he could give us the updated, like the budget, like you've done before. You gave us a very detailed breakout of personnel and all that, and then also how the plan changes. So that way you can vote on the detail. Perfect. Okay. And if we get it, we can circulate that, much prior to the meeting.
Okay. Alderwoman Connolly, then Redpath.
Thank you. And I will say, probably we would need a little more. I would just like to know, because the Appendix B to this has, I think, as detailed a budget as what was in the original ordinance. I mean, the original ordinance referenced Peoria a number of times, so I'm not sure. This plan is very specifically designed and built for Springfield. So I'm ready to send it to debate tonight. I just really quickly wanted to add, because I think Alderman Williams brought up an issue that I know is near to his heart and on the top of everyone's concerns, is the mental health component. And again, I'm very encouraged to see that Memorial is, as not part of this budget, but Memorial on their own, is contributing a behavioral health specialist. So can I just ask what the hours will be for that position?
That position was created through the CDBG CV funds.
Okay.
So I don't have all the details on that at this time.
But there will be someone, is this a full-time position?
It is. Mayor Langford might have more details on that than I do.
Yeah, actually, that was funded through our CARES Act, $100,000, with the priority that it be for street homeless outreach as well as the overflow shelter mental health
That's the position
treatment.
we've already approved. Okay, perfect. So that's, I mean, I think that goes a long way towards, it goes a long way towards addressing the concerns about people who have mental health concerns and really do need a higher level of skilled interventions. So really excited about this. Looking forward to voting on it next week.
Thank you. Okay. Alderman Redpath?
From what I read, the email that we got, is all that going to be incorporated into the amendment, Mayor?
Yeah, what it would be is, I talked to Josh at length today, there's some recommendations for clarification, and really that's a blueprint informational piece for the public as well as direction everybody would like to go. So that would be included in the document. With the subrecipient agreement, it'd be specific towards Salvation Army and all the agencies that would help with the supportive services associated with the overflow part. The other pieces of allocations towards the home funds, as well as I think there was $1 million for rapid rehousing, $500,000 for case management. That would be handled separately with those initiatives, because you have to specify who's doing what and how's that deliverables going to be. How's that going to proceed?
Could we ask Corporation Counsel to expedite this so we could have it sooner than later?
Yeah, I think what I was actually, I'm trying to be helpful, because I looked through the materials, and it's not up to me to try to filter it for the Salvation Army. I just want to make sure we're being accurate. So I actually sent you an email asking if you could please just give us whatever the corrected services are and the updated budget, then we can do an amendment to make that consistent. It's just going to substitute that with the subrecipient agreement. So we just need someone needs to give me the detail. I know I can't really go through and I pick it out. It's hard. I mean, I'd probably make a mistake and then everybody would be mad.
We just want to make sure that this is a very important piece of legislation that we have to get through, but we need to make sure that everything's in it.
What the mayor indicated, the other spending, normally what you'd end up happening is on these other pieces, you'd end up with separate either subrecipient agreements or some kind of service agreements, so you would get to see the detail.
And this is going to be ongoing. They've said that this is the first step into the process, what we need to do. So I support it, and I second the motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I think Josh and I were going to regroup and finalize that, hopefully document, but what we'll do is extract for the subrecipient agreement. It's no different from other ones that we'll modify that based on the information we received with the budget and the amendment, and then represent it as one amendment associated with the overflow piece of it. And then, but that whole packet will be part of the ordinance.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we got a motion for debate in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries for debate. Mr. Clerk, please go to, thank you, Josh Clara. Thank you, everybody, appreciate your plan and hard work on all this. We're on CWLP.
CWLP 2021-316, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing contract UE 22-06-32 CWLT traffic and metering lot replacement for areas 1 and 3 with Trumanell Flat and Sons Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $121,612 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move to consent.
Second.
Got a motion for consent and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries for consent.
2021-317, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing contract UE 22-06-36 Unit 4 filter bags with FOS Industrial Filter Technology Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $352,225 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move to consent.
Second.
Got a motion for consent and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
2021-318, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing the execution of contract UE 22-06-38 byproduct hauling for the Dalton Power Plant with J. Oros Environmental Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $500,000 for the Electric Division for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for consent.
Second.
Got a motion for consent and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries for consent.
2021-319, an ordinance accepting proposal number UE 22-09 with Sentinel Technologies Incorporated for core infrastructure upgrade in the amount not to exceed $264,114.40 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move to consent.
Second. Got a motion for consent and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
2021-320, an ordinance authorizing the technical support and maintenance for F1 Historian software for the Dalton Power Plant Electric Generation Department from OSIsoft LLC in an amount not to exceed $60,300 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move to consent.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
2021-321, an ordinance authorizing an emergency contract with GE Steam Power Incorporated for the inspection of unit number 33 for a vibration issue for an amount not to exceed $195,000 for the Office of Public Utilities.
Move for debate.
Got a debate and a second. Any discussion? Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, do we need to do a amendment to this to pull out emergency? Because it's technically not an emergency. It won't need the...
We can make that correction. I don't think we're required to do it, but we can make that as just a practical matter since it did not pass,
Right.
on emergency.
Okay.
If you'd like, we can make that correction.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, no need for
I just
amendment.
thought
Any other questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries for debate.
Public Works, 2021-322, a resolution for temporary closure of a portion of Illinois States Route 97 and 29 Jefferson Street from 5th Street to 9th Streets for the annual Trades and Labor Council Labor Day Parade to be held on September 6, 2021 for the Office of Public Works.
Motion for omnibus consideration, 2021-322, 323, and 324. They all have to do with temporary closures.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. So we got an omnibus for 2021-322, 2021-323, and 2021-324. Mr. Clerk, would you read those?
Yes. 2021-323, a resolution for temporary closure of portion of Illinois State's Route 97 and 29 Jefferson Street from 5th Street to 9th Streets for the annual Halloween parade to be held on October 23rd, 2021 for the Office of Public Works. 2021-324, a resolution for temporary closure of a portion of Illinois State Routes 97 and 29 Jefferson Street from 5th Street to 9th Streets for the annual Christmas parade on December 4th, 2021 for the Office of Public Works.
Any discussion on those?
Motion for consent.
Second.
All right, any discussion on those? Could you add me as a co-sponsor in all three of those?
Will do.
Thank you. So discussion, all in favor for consent?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
2021-325, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a vacant or abandoned properties for the tax sales list from the Sangamon County as trustee in the amount not to exceed $3,220 for the Office of Public Works.
Move to consent.
Second.
Got a motion, a second for consent. Any discussion? Alderwoman Connolly.
I just want to be clear, are these for the Springfield Rail improvement? They are. Says it,
That is my understanding. These are all rail-related.
That's correct. One is for the 19th and Ash Underpass, and the other is for
I
segment 6.
apologize. It seemed phrased differently, so I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Yes, Alderwoman DeCenzo.
Well, going back to the Labor Day Parade, I was just informed it was canceled.
Oh.
So we might want to withdraw that ordinance.
So motion to reconsider?
Motion to reconsider.
Second.
All right, yeah, motion to reconsider and
Whatever.
second on ordinance
It's on consent.
2021-322.
However we want to do it.
Any discussion on the motion to reconsider?
Are we reconsidering all three ordinances?
No, just that one.
No, just the one.
We put them in Obama's ordinance.
I don't think it matters, does it?
We can deal with it next week and just.
How about a motion to withdraw ordinance 322?
322. Yeah.
322.
That's the proper motion?
Yes.
All right. So we got a motion to withdraw and a
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Yeah, discussion.
Yeah, go ahead.
Clarification, just 322.
Just
right?
322.
Thank
For
you.
now.
All in favor?
Just 322?
Just
Yes.
322, as far as I know. All right. I think we passed it, so we're drinking. Moving on to the next one, please, Mr. Clerk.
All right.
333.
2021-333, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of vacant lot, abandoned properties, tax sales from the Sangamon County as trustee in an amount not to exceed $86,135 for the Office of Public Works.
Motion for consent.
Second.
A motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Finance. 2021-326, an ordinance repealing Ordinance 107-03-2020 and an ordinance authorizing signing of checks drawn on city funds.
Move to consent.
Second.
I believe there's an amendment.
I have an amendment. Yeah, there's an amendment here on our desks.
We got a motion and then a second for consent, and then do we have a motion on the amendment?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion on the amendment and second. Any discussion on the amendment?
What is the amendment?
It just changes the signatories who can sign checks for the city.
Do we have to have fingerprints and background check for this later?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And what this ordinance does is just updating the personnel who sign. We do these every year, so OBM had requested this particular amendment, to add this additional person.
Sounds great.
All right. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the amendment passes. So any discussion on the ordinance itself as amended? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
General City Business, 2021-327, an ordinance authorizing a 2-year extension of RFP VM 18-13 with Motor Parts and Equipment Corporation doing business as Napa Auto Parts for a turnkey parts store operation for an amount not to exceed $3,300,000 from August 1st, 2021 through July 31st, 2023 for the Office of Budget and Management.
Move to debate.
Second.
We got a motion and a second for debate. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries for debate.
2021-328, an ordinance accepting bids and authorizing execution of a 3-year contract number CS 22-06-35 with Prairie Land FS Incorporated to provide automotive fuel for various offices to the departments of City Springfield in an amount not to exceed $1,600,000.
Move for consent.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries for consent.
2021-329, an ordinance authorizing a sponsorship payment of $15,000 to the Illinois Route 66 Mother Road Festival, Incorporated, for the 2021 Route 66 Mother Road Festival to be held September 24th through the 26th, 2021, for the Springfield Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Move for consent.
Second.
I got a motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
2021-330, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Assurance, a Marsh and McLennan Agency LLC company to serve as the city's health insurance consultant from March 1st, 2022 through February 28th, 2026 for an amount not to exceed $280,000 for the Office of Human Resources.
Motion for an omnibus vote for 2021, 330, 331, and 332. They're all dealing with our insurance.
Second.
Okay. We got a motion for omnibus. Was it consent or debate?
For consent.
Omnibus for consent on 2021-330, 2021-331, and 2021-332. You read those ordinances, Mr. Clerk?
Will do. 2021-331, an ordinance authorizing the execution of contract with MetLife Incorporated to provide life, term, and accidental death and dismemberment insurance for the city employees from March 1st, 2022 through February 28th, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $196,000 for the Office of Human Resources. 2021-332, an ordinance authorizing a 2-year extension of RFP number HR 18-02 with HealthLink to continue to serve as the City of Springfield's health insurance provider network from March 1st, 2022 through February 29th, 2024 for the Office of Human Resources.
All right, we got a motion on those, that ominous vote. Any discussion on those? Seeing none, we're voting on all three. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
2021-334, an ordinance to place stop signs at the intersections of 13 and Division Streets to create an all-way stop intersection.
Motion for consent.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
2021-335, an ordinance amending Chapter 170, Section 16.15 of the 1988 City of Springfield Code of Ordinances as amended pertaining to demolition of unsafe buildings.
Consent.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for consent. Any discussion? Yes, Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, based on what I read, and there are situations where there is insurance investigations on some houses that get burnt down. I don't think it normally would be within that 2 month, I don't think it would take 2 months for that to happen, but in the event that that happens, is there a mechanism for the homeowner to work with the city? Because they're technically, they can't do anything until it's released by their insurance. I guess that's a question for you, Corporation Counsel.
The way that the ordinance is addressed, I believe, allows for discretion on the part of the department. What this is doing is establishing a requirement that where there has been a fire, where a building inspector has determined the condition to be essentially a continuing hazard or unsafe and dangerous, then the owner shall, within 60 days, commence work, not complete it, but at least commence it, or demolish the building. But then it goes on to say that if the owner fails to do it, then the department may, not shall, may commence demolition, process.
Right.
So I think there's adequate protection under that circumstance if there's some extenuating set of issues that would, in good faith, allow or prohibit basically something to happen.
Okay.
because remember, what this is intended on doing is to set a basic standard, but the department has the discretion in initiating the actual demolition.
Right, and I appreciate this. I mean, we have houses that have caught fire throughout the city, and some of them do take longer than others, and quite frankly, if they're not repairable, the owners basically, they're walking away and trying, they've got a lot going on too, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Alderman Donovan?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate this being brought forward. Just a follow-up question. The section that says that the city may demolish after 60 days, I assume in the existing code there's a mechanism for the city to recoup those costs?
Yeah, we would end up, the preceding sections of the ordinance actually set out the circumstances and how the process works, for the actual demolition.
So the
and for
existing city code would allow us to go after those funds?
And that is in turn consistent with the state law.
Thank you.
Yes.
Alderman Redpath.
And we would end up normally filing liens and maybe foreclosing, things of that nature.
Alderman Redpath.
Corporation Council, through the years, we've had similar type ordinances that gave the homeowners the opportunity to start work, and there was a trend that they would start the work, stop the work, start the work, stop the work. How do we get around that? If we're gonna make the rule that they only have to start the work, how many times do they get to stop and start before we have to demolish the buildings?
What this does, in my view at least, is it sets a clear standard for a time limit for a property owner to actually take action, whether it's the actual demolition or the commencing to repair. But keep in mind, any time after 60 days, it allows now the department to take further action, actually proceed with the demolition, if the homeowner or property owner is not making progress, or there's a feeling that perhaps it's not being done in a timely manner.
Okay, thank you.
This is really, think of it as a standard and an enabling ordinance that's going to let the department go further.
We've seen it through the years, though. They try to sneak around the building, so.
Alderman Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate this ordinance, and I would definitely be a co-sponsor of it. Because this is a huge problem in my particular ward. I just actually sent some correspondence, and I'm waiting on back on a firehouse off a golf course of all places, trying to play around the golf, bragging about this neighborhood, and this house remains untouched in the same condition. So that is a concern for many reasons. Of course, our fire department has concerns about going in there and just the neighborhood in general. One lady sent me pictures of raccoons and all types of things that are coming from these places and finding homes of them. So I'm very happy to see this and very happy to see some action on these dormant houses, particularly in Ward 2. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, made a motion for consent. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries for consent.
2021-336, an ordinance amending Chapter 80, Section 80.08 of the 1988 City of Springfield Code of Ordinances as amended pertaining to pedestrians on roadways.
For debate.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't realize that we have received a letter from ACLU asking us to respond to, I think, certain questions that they have relating to both 336 and also 337. So I would respectfully request you just hold those in committee, because I literally just saw the letter like 10 minutes ago.
I will change my ordinance, my motion to
And just hold it in, and what we'll do is put it together a response and then give everybody a copy.
I just have a general question on this. Do we have like a solicitation license when people go door to door or something like that?
Itinerant. We have an itinerant merchant's license where a person would be selling door to door.
Why can't we require them to get one of these? If they don't have one, they're in violation.
I don't think you can. I don't want to get too deep into that.
I'm talking about the people in the medians and things like that.
I don't want to get too deep into that until we have a chance to respond to that.
I just think about that.
Okay. All right, so we've concluded our ordinances, I believe. We're holding these two, right?
Well, I have a question.
Yeah, Alderman Redpath.
Corporation Counsel, does this ordinance fall in line with the state regulations on out in the roadways? Is this similar to what the state's statute says?
Yes.
Okay. So we haven't had this in our code before, though, right?
I don't want to get too deep into this, but I will. I just want a chance to look at the materials that were sent to us this afternoon, and I'll be able to give you better information before the next meeting.
All right, I got my answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're holding these. We've concluded our business, I believe, then.
Got one more.
We do?
It's being done.
No, we're holding both of them.
Holding both.
336 and
Hold both of
330.
them?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, then I got a question on 337.
Go for it.
So it says in here that some of this is pertaining to the solicitation within 50 feet of the cannabis dispensary. Is this specifically for the cannabis dispensary?
Yes.
Why wouldn't it be effective for any other business, especially downtown?
There are existing provisions relating to aggressive solicitation with other feet, so many feet from a business or an ATM. The question that was raised with the letter is questioning whether or not you can have any standard for aggressive solicitation. So we are going to take a look at that, and I'll be able to give some additional information after we've had a chance to look at it.
I just don't think I'm not making any accusation. I don't think it's fair that we do it for one business and not all of our businesses downtown, because they're all struggling with the same situations with the homeless and the panhandling that's going on in front of their businesses. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead. Yeah.
on that very point, I think that, and I got this from Chris Stone, who manages the property where the downtown dispensary is. He said that when the state cannabis dispensary law came into being, there was a specific provision about a 50-foot barrier for any solicitation. So that may have been the source of this. Although I asked Chris Stone, give me the statutory citation for that law that came into being several years ago. He never sent it to me, but that may be. Who gave you the 50-foot rule, Mr. Corporation Counsel? Do you know the source of that person?
Well, I don't want to get into too much of the information. We have determined, we believe that is a proper regulation, but I do want a chance to look at the materials that were provided today so we can respond to that.
Well, I'm not asking for anything secret. I'm just asking if you're aware that state statute has a 50-foot requirement in the cannabis law.
I'm aware that there are regulations relating to solicitations around cannabis locations.
Okay, thanks a lot. That kind of avoids the question, but that's okay.
You're both lawyers. That's what you do. No.
One lawyer to another.
Sorry. No offense. No offense. Does he have to read the ordinance in, even though we're holding it?
Yes, I mean, I was just trying to save a little bit of time and be clear. I think it's fine to read them, and then if you just hold them until we have a chance to look at the letter and respond, that would be appreciated.
All right, let's do it by the book, clerk.
Okay. 2021-337, an ordinance amending Chapter 131, Section 131.12 of the 1988 City of Springfield Code of Ordinances as amended pertaining to solicitation.
Motion to hold.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second to hold. Any discussion? We need to vote on a hold. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries for hold. Now we've concluded our ordinances, I believe. Correct, Mr. Clerk?
Yep.
Nothing else hanging out there? Okay. Unfinished business. Anybody?
A couple things, Mr. Chair.
Who's that? Alderman Gregory.
I just got two things. This will be question will be for Mr. Mayor. I still get some good questions about our cannabis business program, and then I would like to review I'm hearing a lot of feedback on the items that are on our cannabis owner-occupied homeowner program, such as driveways, things that I thought we had discussed that we should be just doing, and I'm hearing that they're being told that those things are not eligible, and some people are just giving up, saying, forget it, too many hoops. So I don't want them to feel that way about this new system that we have. I know we're working through some kinks, but I just want to make sure that we're delivering a good product to the people and trying to keep up with our deadlines. I know we're going through a lot with economic development, but I like to try to at least, if we're going to change it or hold it any longer, at least can we give the people some type of idea when we'll deliver that, just so they can.
Yeah, they've received over 100 applications, and it's first come, first served, so to speak. I think that was the intent of the original ordinance as passed. And then so there's a limited amount of funds there. I think it's around 50,000. But they'll process that, and then a letter's going to go out, I believe, this week or next week at the latest with regards to everybody that applied, and letting them know that there's other funds available, whether it's TIF or community development block grant funds that they may qualify for. Okay. And then after that, the business one will be forthcoming.
All right. You got a date? You going to give me a date?
Let's see.
Come on.
What's the date today? 10th. How about after the fair for sure?
Oh, you hard.
What if they cancel the fair? You're going to give it to them?
Yeah, that's right. Good one. No, actually, I'll give you an answer on that tomorrow, more definitive.
Appreciate you.
Do you have a second item, Alderman Gregory?
No, that was it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other unfinished business? Alderman Connolly.
Thank you, Chair. As you know, I wasn't here last week. I did, of course, listen to everybody, watch you live on YouTube, and I would like to reiterate the concerns that people have brought forward. These meetings are terrible to listen to online. The mayor's communications director has brought forward an ordinance. I do think, Clerk Lesko, we need to make some changes soon. I mean, it is painful to listen to these meetings. And I would like to see that we do whatever we need to do, take those steps as soon as possible to improve that communication and the transparency so that people don't have to come into council but can listen without, I mean, it's strange noise.
Yep. We're in the process of doing that right now, Alderwoman.
I thank you. And I would just urge you to treat that with all due importance, because people do follow these meetings, and it's important. What we do here impacts everyday life, and it was not easy to listen to, although I did.
Absolutely. Alderman Donnelly, is this the same subject, or?
It is the same subject, and I must say that my mother taught me years ago to sit up, and the reason I'm hunching over is because for the last 2 months I haven't had a mic that's worked properly, and we finally figured out that I have to hunch over like this for it to be heard. And I just got to say, these kind of things, when they happen, it just has to be resolved right away. I mean, I think I try to choose my words wisely. I don't try to beat things to death. But when I say something, I think it's important. And I've been told by constituents that, Jim, we can't hear you. And essentially, when things like that happen, I don't mean to trivialize them, because it's really serious. You're kind of taking away the voice of somebody, and it's taking a voice from areas of the city, and it's just not right. I think you're very fortunate, and I say you, I mean whoever's responsible. You're very fortunate that it was me that it happened to, and not somebody else that's been. I got a few others that sit around me that probably wouldn't have been as quiet, because this has gone on long enough. It's been almost 3 months.
Bringing me into it.
Anyway, I appreciate the efforts. I know steps have been taken to try to make it better, but I'm not one to want to hunch over, but I have to be heard. So again,
Jim,
yeah.
is it that way?
I'm not pointing fingers.
You're not pointing fingers?
Well, Alderman Hanauer, I think, wants to talk about it, so we'll let him address it.
I actually sat down with the clerk's office, IT, and Nellie from the mayor's office that was representing Julia's office when she was on vacation. I think we kind of agreed to that you were going to come forward with a proposal for the monitors.
Right.
And I hope we can see that next week.
Yeah.
So we're
working on not only the monitors.
Get the monitors. as far as the microphones and all that, I can't. I think we really need to. I would like to look at everything in here, and I know Peoria's putting in a new voting system and everything, and I'm trying to get in contact with the guy up there, and I was going to just drive up and check their system out just to see what it looks like. There's not anything wrong, nothing against our system, but in kind of a short summation, we have a bunch of things that are not that have to be made to work together out here, and we have 10 of us right now that we have a hard time doing that. If you could imagine IT stuff working together, it's even harder. And what I think we need to look at is an overall system that's intertwined and works as one. And so I'm going to try to get to Peoria and look at that and see what they have. It might be something we want to look into. I don't know costs or anything, but I do agree we got to do something with the microphones. The problem that we have is the clerk's office is responsible for some things in here. The communications office is responsible for some things, and IT is responsible for some things, and so we got to get people to work, and but I do agree with that we have got to get this done, and the first piece I think is the monitors, get that done, and we got to do a hashtag get Alderman Donlin a new microphone, because I hear about it every week.
I hear about it after the fact.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing this up, and I think you mentioned it. It's the more you integrate it into one system, the better, because we're dealing with the cable access channel, things of that nature, but the one that probably understands it the best is Julia Frevert, so if she wants to come up and explain it. But that's what the package she presented was. It was the monitors that would be actually not TV sets, but computer monitors that tie into everything. And then how's it tie into the sound of the cable access with regards to social media and everything else. So that's what was presented. Nothing against Peoria, but I'm not sure if they had meetings all during the pandemic like we did. And that's largely due to Julia being able to pivot along with Tom Chi to do Zoom, live stream with YouTube and everything else. So I just asked her to explain what that proposal was. That's sitting in committee.
Remember who brought you up? It wasn't me.
Oh, no, I don't mind. Hello. Well, I came on in 2015, and technically the council chambers is under the clerk's discretion. So before the administration, all we did was broadcast on Channel 18. So we did the integration to actually provide live streaming, and so which we did. And so then there was issues with the background noises, so I agreed to take over the microphones to allow a muting system and unmuting system. So I went ahead and took that on. So everything else has fallen it's still within the clerk's domain. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, when I installed the microphones, I thought I bought enough for backups. Unfortunately, there's a difference between what the treasurer has and what the horseshoe has. So when we went to replace Alderman Donlin's microphone, we realized the prongs are different. So unfortunately, with the pandemic and technology and the pieces that go into it, it's back ordered. So we have pushed forward to try to get a replacement. I've updated Alderman Donlin, did my best weekly to let him know. So we are approximately 1 to 2 weeks out. We said by September we will have a replacement for him. We also purchased 6 to 10 additional microphones in case this ever happens again. So as Alderwoman Conley said, technology has changed. People are accessing community access totally differently than they did 5 years ago and before the pandemic. It's difficult because, like I said, I have Tony and myself, and we focus on broadcast, and then we have the council chambers, which is a separate office. So it's the best discussion of how do we integrate it. And I'll be honest, I try to tread lightly because technically this isn't my area, but as it expands, it becomes my area. That's why I proposed, because as a department of one with Tony in the operations, I tend to get blamed for things so I'm trying to bring forward a solution with a company that can integrate it. I'm open to other suggestions, but unfortunately right now, like you said, my ordinance is stuck in committee. To just, when I say monitors, it's these monitors, and also turn on microphones. We have committee meetings in here, not just the council chambers, but we have our council meetings. We have boards and commission meetings in here, and so Tony is there to turn on the microphones, turn off the microphones, and so integrate a system that would allow people to come in, turn on the microphones, turn off the microphones, record their meetings, etc. So a lot goes into it. I'm happy to help where I can, but again, I'm doing my best to not overstep my bounds.
Right. Alderman Redpath?
I'm confused because I think we've been piecemealing this for so long, and no offense to you or the clerk whatsoever, but we have professional corporations and businesses, audio-video contractors right here in Springfield that could probably walk in there and take care of this problem, and they live in Ward 7 or Ward 6, one of them.
That's
but
right.
we have good people that could come in here and probably handle this thing in a matter of days.
The piece is the broadcast component. So I'm more than willing to offer, that's the piece that's very hard. It's a public access station. I remember when I came on, I reached out to Channel 20, but it's a conflict of interest. It's a very difficult field. So we do use a company that's now in Bloomington because we lost our initial company because they got out of the business because it's just not, profitable. So yes, I think people could come in and provide a voting machine, a recording, microphones, a recording system for the clerk, monitors. It's the broadcast component that I'm concerned about, and how does that integrate best that way.
But have we asked any of these professionals to come in here and give us their advice, or we?
I have not, because that's not my
Mr. Clerk, have
my
we asked
area's
anybody
broadcast.
to come in here?
I'm working with a couple companies in Springfield right now, and I'm going off of, I've met with IT, and their recommendation is not to go with monitors, but to go with high-resolution TVs. They're less expensive.
I like all the dog and pony stuff about bringing TVs in, but we need technology. We need to be able to vote. We need to be able to request to speak. We need to be able to use our monitors for presentations and without having to look at the screens. There's so much that goes into this. And Julie, I'm not taking shots at you guys. We've been fighting this for years. It's ridiculous. Everybody in here is frustrated. And Alderman Donlin, the microphone don't work, but we got to do something. We got to get some professionals to do this.
Clerk, did you want to finish up? Or?
Well, I was just saying that we have met with IT, and what we're doing, and Julie's, her proposal is good. We're working with that, and we're integrating the things that we need as far as safety features for the electronics that we have in here, and we're working hand in hand with the IT department to find out exactly what we need to put that materials list together. But we're pretty animate about going with the high-resolution TVs. They're a type of, because when people come up for presentations, you don't want to sit and have to wait, and the high-resolution TVs will respond quicker than a monitor as well.
But Mr. Clerk, all I'm saying is this. It's about the technology. It's about the technology. If we don't have all the components that we need, the legislature's 5 blocks down the street, they have it. The county got it. Peoria's got it. But we need the technology. I don't get the piecemeal thing. I don't get it. And are you guys doing this, or what? You should be sitting down together.
No, we do work together.
Okay, Alderman Donovan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Julia, I appreciate you bringing that ordinance forward. I really do, and because it highlighted that we need to do something, and we're ready to move forward. But I want to be very clear to everybody in this. We haven't talked with everybody about this, but when Alderman Hanna and I met with your staff and mayor's staff and the clerk's staff, I specifically said, listen, we're here in this room as a council for the most part once a week to do our business. Other people use the chamber periodically throughout the week. It just needs to work. That's all. And I said the last thing we want, and here we are, is to be legislating resolutions to this problem. So anyway, I trust the professionalism that we have. But that meeting's been now a few weeks ago. let's get moving. We're ready. They said the ordinance is stuck in committee. We're ready to move forward. I think it's been clear tonight. Let's move it forward. Let's work collectively. We trust your judgment, and that's all. So thank you very much.
Well, I just want to be clear that the Chambers has always been the clerk's office. And so I am an appointed director. I was assigned, that is my job as the AV studio. I'm more than happy to come into the Chambers to help, but I also want to be respectful as an elected official. That is his office. And so I'm trying, like I said, treading lightly. I presented the ordinance because my name tends to be brought up with the broadcast, and that's the system that would integrate with the broadcast system. Like I said, I'm more than happy to be a team player and do it. That's where, that's why I brought it forward.
Again, thank you for those efforts, because you're right, it needs to move forward, and we're there with you.
That's where our office comes in. We're working closely. We want to make sure that the broadcast system has everything that they need to make this work correctly. And I think we have good professionals here in Springfield, and I know definitely within the clerk's office that when the end product is here, you'll be happy with it. And you've got my word on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk. Alderwoman Connolly?
Thank you. I was actually, Alderman Donnellan said most of what I wanted to say. And again, this was not, I didn't bring this up as an intended slight to anybody. I missed you guys last Tuesday. I had to watch, and it was hard. The one thing I would ask, Clerk, is that, because obviously the broadcast component has its complications, but this is 2021. We need to be live streaming these meetings, not just on YouTube or Channel 18. I mean, I know a lot of people who don't have TVs that get Channel 18. We need to be we had so much support putting these meetings live on Facebook and making them accessible to people in a way that is just different and more dynamic and more flexible. So I do hope that is part of the plan, and just echo everyone's concerns that this plan move along expeditiously.
Great.
Thank you very much. And Julia, thank you for all you do too. I appreciate everyone working together.
I'd love to add a staff person, so maybe next budget cycle we can think.
That was a great time.
I feel like Tony's two people.
All right. I think we beat this one to death. Any other unfinished business? No? Any new business? Alderwoman DeCenzo.
Yes. First of all, I would like to wish a very happy birthday to Nicole Cunningham, who works in the clerk's office. Thank you. Thank you for the snacks. I understand it's a big birthday. I'm not going to say which one, but happy birthday. Thank you for all you do for us. And then second, I would like to request a moment of silence. Alderman Gregory and I dealt with a horrific day yesterday. The loss of 3 young lives, which is in Ward 2, but borders Ward 6, and affected all of us, and affected our day, our night.
It's vice versa, but.
And it's a sad day. And I think for as much time as we just spent on speaking about audiovisual, we should at least have a moment of silence for the 3 young lives that were lost yesterday. Please. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other new business? Alderman McMiniman?
Mr. Chair, there's an important meeting tomorrow night between 4 and 6 p.m. at Southside Christian Church regarding the MacArthur Boulevard design phase of IDOT, Illinois Department of Transportation. There'll be an open house from 4 to 6. There's no planned speaking. It's just come and the officials from IDOT are available to discuss the design phase of the MacArthur Boulevard rebuild from Wabash up to South Grand. It's a $25 million project. They're interested in views and discussing progress made to date. I think we've got about 4.5 years left to complete the project, but they're in the engineering design phase right now. Alderwoman DeCenso and I plan to be there for parts or all of it, and IDOT is truly interested in soliciting views and comments from the public. So that's out there. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Alderman Gregory.
What?
What did you have?
I was waiting to see you got done, but okay. I got 3 quick things. So, Mr. Dow, I did receive your email. I did talk to the Juneteenth committee, and they are going to put together a PowerPoint to really indicate how special Juneteenth was. I didn't want. I was, when I first got the email, I was a little like, well, why did we need that? But I definitely think it will help show the beauty of Juneteenth and what really happened that weekend, rather than some words. So I have delivered that message, and they're going to prepare something. But that's part of this thing. When we deal with different groups that may not have all of these expertise, like whoever runs the golf thing that we support.
You haven't supported them the last few years.
Or whatever, they provided us support. But when we support them, they have some very, very special people that put together these fancy reports and things. And I know we want others who we entrust with city funds to do those same things. But we have to, make sure we articulate that. And if need be, help them, make sure that they are able to do that. So we can get a good product up here. My second issue, I think it's important, especially, Mr. Zirkle, since you are going to be looking over some cannabis rules and laws, I would like you to take a look at the boundary issues. We have several new licenses been given out throughout the state through these lotteries to minority candidates. I've been contacted by a lot about different East Side locations. And a lot of them just can't do it because of the boundaries. So if we could look at that, I know we have some home rule, we have some ability to sort of address it to ensure that we can find equity in that situation as those new businesses open up, which will drive significant revenue for us. We also have to be careful because some of it will be pushed to the county borders, and that troubles me. We'll lose a lot of tax money to that, so we want to try to keep as much of that as possible. And I forgot what my third thing is, so that's all for tonight.
Are you referring, we can get you the information for the boundaries relating to the dispensaries? Is that what you're referring to, the dispensaries?
Yes, if we can look at that and where we are with the craft grows. I believe there was 2 businesses that reached out to me to see that. So I believe it's all the same. I just want to, while we're going in that book, let's look at that as well. And I just want to look at that. Thank you. Please.
I'll get some information for you.
I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Hanauer.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up, and Chief Winslow, I do want to tell you that I was on the radio today, and I've sent a letter to the mayor, and first of all, I wish you luck if on the job in Peoria, in Bloomington. I am concerned. I'm concerned that how if that job does not come, if you're not selected for that job, you coming back and leading our police officers. I think that my personal opinion is we gave you a raise to stay, and I've heard your name on a few jobs that that were out there. So that's the reason why I said when they asked me, I think that it's time that we should find another chief. You've done a great job here that we are now. I know we're just the legislative body, and ultimately it's up to the mayor. But I do think that, I understand trying to better your situation, money-wise or whatever. But I do think that it's tough for our police officers to sit there and when it appears that someone doesn't want to be here. And I wanted to make that clear. I think that, the fact that, you were given a pretty large bump, larger than probably most merit comp people. And then we before we actually got it. It was out before you sent the email last night that you're one of 2, which, I think that's great. We've got someone here that's people want. But I have a hard time when we've given you a raise and you're still looking. So I want to just make that clear. I think you've done a fantastic job while you've been here, and I wish you luck on the Bloomington job. But I do think that if that doesn't happen, it's time for a change then. That's just my opinion. I'm not speaking for others up here, but that's just my opinion. And it's not a personal thing. It's just, I think, just given everything, that's my thought. So
I just have a quick question from Corporation Counsel. Since it's a personnel issue, I don't know, do we have to talk about this in executive session, or is the chief free to talk here or whatever?
I would say it's a matter of if there's personal or confidential items that the chief feels more comfortable talking about in executive session, that's very appropriate. If there's some generic statements that he wants to make in light of the discussion, then I would think that's up to him. But personnel matters typically are handled, in executive session, but they typically deal with kind of confidential items.
Well, Chief, I'll give you the mic if you like.
Well, I'd like to just say a few things, and thank you, Alderman, for bringing. I understand your concern. First, I'd like to start and say that I'm honored and humbled to have the privilege to work for the Springfield Police Department for 26 and a half years, including 8+ years as the Chief of Police. It's a job that I cherish. It's a position that I have had the honor to serve with some of the bravest men and women that have ever served this community. I've got to serve with all of you and your predecessors who worked tirelessly to give back to our community. I give 110% every day, always have and always will. I'm fully engaged in my job and my responsibilities as the Chief of Police. I've stood here over the last 9 months and told you I'm in the twilight of my career. I've said it numerous times. I didn't stay for money. I made that crystal clear when I decided to stay. I told you it was for family obligations to do with my elderly in-laws, and nothing's changed there. With that said, when one chooses to retire and hang up, it's a personal decision. And I've kept my staff in the loop, I've kept the mayor in the loop, that you know when your time comes, and you know that when you're getting near it. And with that said, I want to continue to be in the profession I love when I do retire from the Springfield Police Department. I say I'm in the twilight of my career at the Springfield Police Department. But I'm going to continue to work 4 or 5 more years. I have young children. I want to be involved in the profession that I've dedicated my life to, that I love, whether that's as a chief somewhere else, whether that's as a consultant, whether that's a teacher at one of the local universities, or as a lobbyist for law enforcement. I'm going to stay involved in law enforcement. With that said, I spoke to my wife and my family, and when the Bloomington job opened up, I applied for it. It's a great opportunity for me, both professionally and personally, while allowing me to grow. It's a community that's comparable to ours. If I'm going to uproot my family and move, I want to go to a community that's like ours, a community that supports law enforcement, a department that isn't broken, that is a great department, an opportunity for my wife to gain employment, a place that has a good quality of life. I have small children. I have a 6-year-old, an 11-year-old, a 16 and a 19. I'm going to work for a while. I have colleges to pay for, weddings to pay for. I'm going to keep working. It's a great opportunity for me. And there's no guarantees. I haven't been offered nothing. It's an honor to be selected to be one of the finalists and to move forward the process. And it's something I feel I have to do. Whether I'm selected and leave in a few weeks or I retire in a few months from the Springfield Police Department, it's been an honor to serve with each and every one of you and each and every one of the men and women who wear blue and go give every day and go above and beyond tirelessly. It's difficult. If I leave in a few weeks or if I leave in a few months, it's always going to be bittersweet. This is a job and a career that I love and I'm passionate about. A job that I still to this day give 110% and fully engaged and always will be. I've talked to the mayor about succession planning. I've been working and still continue to work on the things he's asked me to do, knowing that my time is getting near. It's going to be near. With that said, this community has raised me. This community has blessed me. The Lord has blessed me, my Savior. It's a place where I became a man, where I grew from a young man to the man I am today, and I'm proud of that. I've given back. I've served with honor and integrity, and I will continue to do so till the day I leave. But again, I understand your concerns, and if you have concerns, I'll be more than happy to sit down with you. But you have my word. I'll give 110% till the day I retire, whether that's in a few weeks or a few months. It's been an honor to serve the city of Springfield and the citizens of Springfield, and I thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you, Chief. Alderman Gregory?
You know, I wouldn't be myself if I didn't speak on behalf of Chief Winslow. Probably something I never thought I'd do. But when I remember I was a young kid, I had just taken over Juneteenth. And I had went to the mayor had just got elected or re-elected, and he was deciding on what he needed to do with Chief Winslow, or a chief. And I wasn't there for that, but I did speak up for Chief Winslow because I had felt the difference in policing in the community that I was from. And it was the first time I had ever spoken up at an event like that. So it was hard, it was terrible. But I did that because it was true. We had seen a change in our community from whatever tactics Chief Winslow deployed. And we've had some very personal conversations that I'll keep to me. But part of this is emotional for me because I know he's a good chief, he's a good man. And he's always said he's going to leave. And, you know, I always mess with him and say, well, why are you leaving Springfield to go to Bloomington or Peoria and stuff like that? But I respect his decision. But he's a good chief. He's a good man. And I respect you, dude. And for real, you're a good dude. So appreciate
you. Any other discussion on that topic? Any other new business? Mr. Mayor's been waiting for a little bit, and then, or no, go ahead, Alderman McConnell. I think it,
thanks.
All right, I think I missed you. I'm sorry.
I'll be quick because mine is just a message that I was asked by a constituent to bring to council tonight, so I did. I am. I was sent an article from the Peoria Journal-Star that they are getting a new fulfillment center from Amazon and bringing with it a whole lot of jobs for that community.
They're getting what? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, it's hard
All
to hear you.
right.
Thank you.
My grandkids are coming this week. I'm wearing a mask. No, so Amazon is getting Peoria area is getting a fulfillment center from Amazon, which is a significant influx of new jobs. And the question that I was sent was, where's our economic development director? Mayor, I know you've addressed this. In fact, I believe I watched you address it last week, but I do want to just reiterate that that is a concern in this community. We are missing out on jobs and opportunities, and I do hope that you can prioritize. I think in March, we were told we were going in a new direction. I'd like to see that direction be more jobs and economic development in this community. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, with regards to Amazon, actually, I think Alderman Donlin brought this up several years ago, and at that time, Ryan McCready was over in Decatur, and they were soliciting Amazon, and what they look at is population centers of 1 million. And so that's pretty significant amount of jobs. Usually, I'm not sure if Peoria offered anything up. Usually, there's millions of dollars that the community offers in return. But, you know, I got to really see firsthand what technology can do with distribution centers. When we went to Jining City, China, that's our sister Friendship City, home of Confucius. We went to their innovation center, and they took us to a distribution center with regards to, surprisingly, pharmaceuticals. And this location had probably about 30 rows, 6 stories high, and you see the conveyor belt and things being unloaded by a robot, carried over to the distribution or this warehouse part, and then put on the shelf by, again, a robot. And then so I asked them, I said, well, how many employees do you have? 3. They all work with their computers. So even though Amazon, is great, they promise a lot of jobs. Hopefully Peoria did their due diligence and guaranteed those jobs for a prolonged period of time. because that's what we would do when we're ever in that position. And then the other thing is, with regards to brick and mortar, the reason they look at million populations is because drone delivery. That's just the driverless cars, things of that nature. So those are the technology aspects of the that you have to be concerned about with job displacement as well. So you have to be guarded with that, and that's what we approach. But Ryan McCready with the SSGA, we work well with them. I actually met with individual from Taiwan. Actually, Juan Huerta had the connection, and that's what it's about, personal relationships. So we're working on that aspect, but things of that nature do take time with regards to cultivating those activities. But it's just not the city of Springfield. It's just not the SGA. It's all of us working together. And of course, economic development's a high priority for all of us, especially coming out of the pandemic. But those are, everybody talks about Amazon effect. It can work both ways, but we need to make sure that we protect our brick and mortar along the way with regards to that. And that's where really your bread and butter is going to be in the long run, in my estimation. But we're always open for business with regards to manufacturing. Healthcare is going to be a major driver. The university presence downtown is a major driver. The state coming back is a major driver in their complex development, as well as the rail project, and moving forward in those directions. So they may be blessed with the warehouse. We're blessed on many different fronts of development that are in the process with regards to strengthening our community on many fronts with it: healthcare, state government, rail project, university presence, small business development, and moving forward in that direction. And of course, one of that is housing. We just heard from individuals tonight, but affordable housing and how you move in that direction for the long-term future of our city.
Alderman Dowland?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since my name was brought up, I feel like I need to add a little something to this conversation. I too, Alderwoman Conley, got the email, I believe, from one of your constituents, same one,
Probably did.
most likely. That gentleman's been on me for a while and us for a while about that concept, and then he sees something in Peoria. But I will tell a quick story. A few years ago, it was soon after getting elected, I had this thought of Amazon. You see they're expanding throughout the country. So I did a Google search and saw that they were expanding it up in Will County. And lo and behold, I had a good friend of mine, Larry Walsh, is the county administrator, was the county administrator at the time up there. He's since passed away just a few years ago. But I called him up, and he's like he always said, you need to call people back. He did call me back, and I had a conversation. I said, I don't see Springfield competing with Will County. We're not a competitor of yours. Do you agree? And he's like, yes, I agree with that, Jim. He said, what can I help you with? And I said, well, I got to ask you. I hear that you have an Amazon fulfillment center, a new one. And he started laughing at me, and he said, no, you heard wrong. We have 5. And then he went into the locations and the number of jobs. And it was hundreds and hundreds of jobs. And we're talking about jobs that don't necessarily require, all over the board, but not all of them require a college education. Some are high school education, all over the board. Really got excited about it. And I said, Senator, I still call him Senator. Senator, I said, if you could do one thing for me, just give me a contact name. I don't expect you to go to bat for us. If you could just give me a name of somebody to contact, because a lot of times that's the biggest wall that we have to climb. And he did. And that gentleman, I'm sure, got tired of getting phone calls from me. And I've talked about it to the mayor in the past, about making these phone calls. But maybe it's time to make those phone calls again. So I will commit to reinitiate those calls and share it with the mayor's office and anybody else of you that asked, because it's important to at least have a name, and who knows? But you got to try. That's the point. We have to continually try, and it's not just about the jobs and sectors that we have in Springfield are so important, and growing those is critical to economic development. But you also at times have to look outside and bring in something new. And maybe it's this, maybe it's something we're not even thinking of. Maybe, as I've said in the past, it's an entity that would work well with a healthcare industry or some other sector that we already have here that we don't. Those are the kind of things we need to do, and we need to be more proactive. That's why I'm glad that we're a partner with the Economic Development Group, with Ryan McCready and his board, on trying to look at things differently, do things differently, and have that outreach. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Everybody have a good evening.
Alderwoman Connolly?
I'm good. I'm fine, thank you.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay, any other new business, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, there's a public hearing tomorrow at the library at 5:30 in the Carnegie Room North regarding the fiscal year 2021 action plan for HUD's Community Development Block Grant Funds and Home Investment Program allocations.
All right, is there no one else? I got one last thing. August 24th will be my last meeting here as an alderman for Ward 5. Yeah, I was offered an opportunity to move up north with career opportunities, which I'm going to take. So I want all of you to know here, my colleagues, it's been an honor working with you. It's been an honor, helping lead Springfield. But the notice will go out soon, so the mayor is going to have another duty here shortly to do. But I just want to let you all know that. So
You'll be
thank you.
missed.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All the best to you.
Thank you. So, moving on. Citizens' request to address?
Yes.
That is last time to be chair.
Thank God I don't have to do it 3 times.
What? I'll still be chair on the 24th.
That's what I said.
One more time.
Hilda Reyes.
Good evening, Mayor and all the aldermen. I want to congratulate Officer Winslow on his moving forward. Go where he can grow. That's what I've been told. However, I come to addressing you and the City Council on a couple of issues that I'm having on Bradley Court. First issue is the garbage that people has been dumping their furniture in our area, and it just looks nasty, horrible. And we got to put in consideration, we have the Mary Brandt home on one side, the Islamic Center on one side, businesses that, you see when you enter in from Stanton Street. Well, I've thought about this. I went to Missouri for my birthday and for a wedding this past weekend. And do I want my friends coming to the area where I live looking like garbage? No. Well, I've addressed this to Sean Gregory. He had promised that he was going to get in touch with the city. He had promised that he was going to remove the furniture. Has that come to pass? No. So, when I'm out and about, because he did change his number where I can't contact him. So when I'm out and about, I catch him talking to the news team, and I drag him to the side after his interview. Is this issue going to be taken care of? Yes, Ms. Reyes. Okay, well, 2 months down the line, no word. Have I seen him out in public? Yes. Have I addressed it? Yes. Have I addressed it with the city inspectors? Yes. And I've addressed it and sent pictures to Mr. Herta and his team at the public relations. Still no movement, okay? Well, I leave for Missouri for my birthday and the wedding, come back to the same old environment. Sorry. So, the issue is this going to continue on Bradley Court? Mainly because if so, we're going to drag in unwanted company, such as rodents, such as bad activity, which has already been there since time began, but nobody cared enough to step up to talk about this. So the issue is, when is it going to be removed? That's an infinitive answer, but... And the other issue that I'm having is my building. I've been there for 2.5 years. George Courtney Williams, co-owners with Lakeisha Purchase. Okay, George Courtney Williams took care of the place until the start of the nasty divorce. Back in February, he kicks in my door. Imagine that. I wouldn't think that was legal. However, it is. Because did the police get involved? No. So I went to court. Had a no contact order drawn on him. Since then, he's been to the property. Every time I inform the sheriff department to come and serve him, he notices and he takes off. Okay, since February, my door's been kicked in. There's been a door replaced, but no security. Okay? So in that meanwhile, several months later, there, on where I live, there's an apartment over me, okay? The pipes burst. Water's everywhere, damage everywhere. My stuff ruined. The tile in the kitchen and bathroom ruined. I've made complaints. I've sent pictures, and a fine. Only slap on the wrist, no movement to fix it. I can't move because I'm not financially stable enough. And then if I were, not many landlords are accepting new tenants because of the CDC code. The pandemic hit. Okay? Well, yeah, I've been knocked down, slowly getting back up. However, I want things done. In the city, Juan Herta can do only so much. He's making promises not even kept. Who do I go to get these addressed, to get this taken care of?
Thank you for bringing those concerns
Thank
here.
you.
On the housing, or on the fly dumping part, or the whatever you talk about, the stuff in the street, probably Daryl Harris, Public Works, would probably be the best if you can talk to him.
Well, see, I've been to the city. And the person that I'm dealing with, she can do only so much. Fines, that's a slap on the wrist for some, because some are wealthy. So they'll have to pay the fine and let the problem persist. Go on.
I don't know. But
However, we got city alderman who says he cares, but
Where do you live at?
I'm Bradley Courts.
Okay. Well, I think best if you get with Daryl, he's right back there, confer with him on the address for the items you're discussing, and see if he can, see if there's an update from him, and see if we can get that address. On the housing part, Juan Herta, have you talked to his office?
We're in a process of dealing with it. Okay. So, I've sent everything everywhere I'm supposed to. However, Ward 2, where I live at, we have Mary Brent's, the Home for the Blind, the Islamic Center, and buildings as you turn in, left or right, coming, which other.
Ma'am, can we get the address of where you're speaking?
It's 2224 Bradley Court.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, if you want.
But our alderman is making promises that he can't keep. It's emptied.
Okay. Well, I'm sure if you could, if you want to talk to Director Herta, he can address the housing part and maybe give you an update too, because a lot of it is, things are in motion. I'm sure it's just a matter of what the status is, and the two key personnel to give you that information are here tonight, and I'm sure they're more than willing to talk with you after this.
Okay.
So, great. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Alice Ramey.
Okay. I guess I'll get my orders from Ward 2 the next. I do want to say I'm happy for the chief, and I wish him all the luck, but he hasn't been appointed yet or picked yet like a piece of whatever. But I do wish him all the luck for his family and for everything that he has accomplished here in Springfield. The officers are a lot better. You can talk to them and they don't look down at you. They give you more respect. Even though you may be in handcuffs, they still give you respect. That's more than we had for a long time. For a long time, Mayor. And I fought for him to be the mayor, would be the chief. And I've had a lot of ribbing from number 6 about the chief, because I don't call him Chief Winslow, because I've known him for about 20 years, okay? So it would be hard for me to call him Chief Winslow when I used to call him Winslow back then. But I'm glad that he has a chance. And anybody that even thinks about having our cop, he is a top cop. He knows these streets. He knows these people. And I appreciate him when he was in our neighborhood, when we had Evergreen Terrace, as you know. I'm up here for 2 reasons. One, next week I'm bringing you a slab of bacon, okay? For you can hang. And also, I want to know, do we have anything to do with the dog pond in Springfield, Illinois?
The dog pound?
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
Animal control.
No, I guess not.
That's the county.
County.
Well, I called the county.
That's them.
They may be getting a meeting of me in front of their meeting one night, okay?
Ooh, tell me when.
Don't threaten them.
Talk fast there, they only let you have 3 minutes.
That's what you think. I know some of the county board, okay? I just want them picked up, okay? And the neighbors in my yard has got 2 really big Doberman Pinschermans. And they'll let them run between midnight and 6 in the morning.
That should help with crowd control.
Huh?
That should help with crowd control.
It does, really does, man. I mean, to tell you, the cats are running, the cows are moving, and everything else. But I do want to say thank you, Mayor, for your help. I really do appreciate it. And thank you very, very much for being the mayor. And if you don't run again, I don't know what we'll do. Do you understand?
Election time.
Is that
Thank you.
endorsement?
And you have a beautiful time, and I'm proud that you're getting another job. You know, that's something you can advance to furthermore in your career.
Thank you. Appreciate
And
it.
happy birthday.
Oh, right there.
Is that short enough for you, Ward 1?
Good job,
A little
Alice.
shorter next time.
All right, anybody else signed up?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, third.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Hey, man, you're going to get
Evidently not. Evidently not, buddy.